What's up? It's Tom. Thanks for being here. Wrapping up a gorgeous Sunday here in the Twin Cities. Hope you got out and had a good time out if you could, or weather's good where you're at as well. But it felt like baseball here in the Twin Cities. So let's talk some baseball. Starting things off, the World Baseball Classic is happening right now. Not a ton of Twins involved in the action, but probably the scariest thing from like a fan of a specific major league team perspective is injuries can happen in the World Baseball Classic too, just like anywhere else. And there was a scary moment. Byron Buxton got hit by a pitch, hit him in the forearm, but x-rays didn't show anything. He's just fine. So no really big reason to worry, but that was a hold your breath for a moment situation there. But luckily he's good. Joe Ryan, unfortunately, threw out his back a bit before the World Baseball Classic started. So he has not been able to be with Team USA, but he's hoping to work his way back and make an appearance for Team USA at some point. Obviously, none of the World Baseball Classic appearances really are that long. They have some pitch count limitations, but Ryan's not going to be all the way ramped back up anyway. So I would envision that to be more like a relief appearance, but we'll see if even that happens. Again, teams are going to be pretty careful with guys. I'm sure the Twins would really like to, help Joe Ryan, achieve that goal. He really wants to pitch for Team USA, but if it's not in the best interest of him or the Twins, I don't know that it'll happen. We'll see. Number 2, Spring Breakout rosters. Those were released. They're preliminary rosters, so it's not necessarily like a concrete roster. Walker Jenkins is on the preliminary roster, along with the other top Twins prospects you would expect, but he has a hamstring strain and may not participate. That's kind of a wait-and-see thing. Some of the 2025 pitchers who were drafted who didn't debut are the guys who I'm most excited to see in that event: Riley Quick, James Ellwanger, Jason Wrights, and Matt Barr. So we haven't seen those guys pitch at all in a Twins minor league game. So that'll be cool to see them. Hopefully, again, this is a preliminary roster. Hopefully, we'll see them pitch. Not even everybody who makes the final roster will pitch in the game, I imagine, but that would be cool to see those guys. I imagine at least one of them will pitch in that game. That'll be excited. Number 3, monitoring velo is what I called this one. There's a couple of really key potential pivot points in both the Twins rotation and the bullpen. Bailey Ober in the rotation. If he's going to be like he was last season, it's going to be rough. But if he can get back to the pitcher he was before then, this rotation could still be really, really good without Pablo Lopez. Liam Hendriks hasn't been good in a long time now, but is a guy who's had a lot of major league success. If he could find that again, he would be a huge addition to this bullpen that needs a lot of help. In his first spring outing, Bailey Ober averaged 89.9 with his fastball and topped out at 91.1. Again, it's his first outing. No need to overreact yet, but it would have been nice to see more than that. He pitched averaged 90.3 on that pitch last season and then 91.7 the prior year. So we really want him to get close to sniffing 92 on his average, and he's down at 89.9. Hopefully he can work his way up. In his most recent outing, Liam Hendriks sat 93.7 and topped out at 94.8. He averaged 97.6 miles per hour on his last good season, which was 2022. So it's certainly looking like if he's going to find success again, he's going to kind of need to reinvent himself from what he was previously. 4th item of conversation, positional alignment. That's another thing that you can kind of look at in spring training. There's a lot of noise in spring training that you don't really want to invest too much energy into, but seeing how these lineups are constructed, seeing how these defensive alignments are constructed. Luke Keaschall started a game in left field. That was his first outfield work since July of 2024. The Twins have talked about moving him around more, and I totally get that when you just look at Luke Keaschall, and I don't get it at all when you look at the composition of this roster. Like Luke Keaschall, he's not a good second baseman. Maybe if he keeps working at it, he might be. But I liked the way he looked in the outfield in the minors. I liked the way he looked at first base in the minors. I think that's not something to take off the table. Not that he's completely unplayable at second base, but my ideal spot for him would be more of like this ranging player. So I totally get why the Twins are kind of playing with that idea. But when you look at the rest of the roster, the Twins don't need another corner outfielder. At least he hits right-handed, I suppose. So there's that. And then the Twins don't really have a great second baseman option beyond Keaschall. So, yeah, it's a tough one to figure for me on that end. Maybe you could make the case, and I would, that the real second baseman on this team should be Brooks Lee. But then it's like, well, who's the shortstop? You don't have one. So, it's a challenge trying to figure out the best alignment to put all these pieces in. But Brooks Lee is going to be the starting shortstop. We don't know who the backup shortstop is. That's another thing to monitor in spring. Orlando Arcia has made more starts other than Brooks Lee of the contenders to get the backup spot. But he's not on the 40-man roster. So it's going to take... And there's always some kind of fringe guys you might be able to cut here or there, or maybe somebody goes on the 60-day IL and you open up a spot. But there's going to be more maneuvering to get Orlando Arcia onto the roster than the other contenders, Ryan Kreidler and Tristan Gray. However, Ryan Kreidler and Tristan Gray have options. So you could put Orlando Arcia as your backup shortstop on the active roster, keep those two guys and just send them both to St. Paul. So if you're just generally concerned about your shortstop depth, maybe that's the move, because then you keep Arcia and you keep all three of them. Whereas if you don't bring Arcia north, I don't know this, but I'm guessing he might have an opt-out to where if the Twins don't break camp with him, if they don't add him to the active roster, he's going to be able to say, all right, I'll go to St. Paul and see what happens. Or he's going to say, nah, I'll go back on the free agent market. I think somebody else will sign me and give me a shot. How that breaks down, we'll see. I'm sure you're at the edge of your seat. All these spring training games, just watching what's going on with Orlando Arcia and Ryan Kreidler and Tristan Gray. Just calm down, people, okay? I know it's an exciting position battle, but one day at a time here, folks. All right, and then the last item, Sire Fort Myers update. It's still fairly early. We're getting there, but it's still fairly early to be discussing things. But a trio of young hitters has emerged. It's definitely Emmanuel Rodriguez and Gabriel Gonzalez. It looks like who it's coming down to. You see some of their numbers there. Clay Rosario has also been impressive, but it's been in about half as much time as those other two guys, so he's going to need to get some more opportunities. A couple of relievers that have looked good. Dan Altavilla has looked good in his 3 innings pitched. Some of his underlying metrics look good too. It's kind of unfortunate that he left to go pitch for Team Italy. The WBC is really cool, but man, if you're a guy who has a legitimate shot at potentially sneaking his way into a major league bullpen, you might want to rethink that one. He makes his own decisions, whatever. I hope he has a good time with Team Italy, and maybe it won't matter anyway with how bad this Twins bullpen is looking. And then Matt Bowman, who spent some time in the big leagues last year, he's also pitched relatively good for the Twins as well. But I would say it's definitely Rodriguez and Gonzalez are kind of the 1 and 2 right now for Sire Fort Myers. Thanks so much for checking this one out. Really appreciate you. Check out Limestone Pipeline, Jamie Cameron and I's Patreon project. I'm sharing some spring highlight videos there, and we've got all sorts of prospect talk, prospect list, all sorts of stuff going on over there. So check that out. Thanks for checking this one out. We'll talk again soon.